Hi everyone, it's Meredith of Made on a Generous Plan. It's so nice to be with you again. I'm here today to talk to you about the word fat. So I recently had an old friend get in touch and say that she had noticed that I was using the word fat rather liberally in all the things I was putting out to the world and was just curious about that word and why I was using it and if whether or not she should reclaim it and why, if we're working towards all humans accepting all other humans, why we needed different words to talk about size at all. Like maybe we just shouldn't talk about size at all. So I thought her question was so great and it reminded me that I haven't really talked much about this word and why I use it. And so I wanted to introduce you to it today, explain a little bit about why I use it, and then you can consider whether you want to try it on for size yourself. Pun not intended. So, first and foremost, many people are reclaiming the word fat because it has been a word that is used, throughout their whole lives to wound and cut them. And there's something so powerful about taking this word that has been used very specifically to inflict pain upon them and neutralizing it. So imagine if someone were to come up and insult you and say like, "Oh, you're fat," and you were able to neutralize it and disarm them by basically saying, "Yeah, so what? I'm fat." There's something so powerful about that. Also, if we reclaim the word fat, there's all these connotations that come along with the word, right? Like when in the past, people have associated the word fat with like being ugly or lazy or slovenly or any of these things, none of which are true in any way, obviously. So if we're able to reclaim the word, then we can naturally reduce the number of connotations and make it just a neutral descriptor of body size, and that's a really powerful thing. So, going a little bit deeper, the reason why we still need words to describe body size is because there's size oppression happening in the world. And if we don't have a way to describe this certain set of people, fat people, who are experiencing discrimination and oppression, then we can't do anything to address that oppression. I think of it as being akin to the whole, I'm colorblind thing that often comes up that people say in response to racism. And I know it's coming from a really meaningful, really well-intended place. But, the person is basically trying to say, like, I don't believe that anyone is better or worse than any other person based on the color of their skin. But if we just say that we can't actually see color, what that means is we're not able to address the oppression that comes from, people having different skin colors and different races. So it means that we can't see white supremacy and we can't see racism happening. So for that same reason, we need to be able to describe this set of people in large bodies, fat people, plus size people, whatever you want to call us, that are experiencing oppression in order to have any hope of fighting against it. So I urge you to think about, whether you might be ready to try on this word. I know it can be scary. I know, depending on how long you've been in a large body, that, there's a lot of baggage that comes with that word. And it's probably been extremely painful to you in the past. So if you're not ready to take it back or even experiment with taking it back, that's perfectly okay. In fact, like I use the word plus size in a lot of my material because I know a lot of people aren't ready to take it back and are just getting introduced to this idea. On the other hand, if you're kind of interested, like why not just kind of take it for a whirl? It doesn't mean you have to try it on permanently and adopt it, but just see how it feels and see whether or not you get that same sense of empowerment when you use it in this neutral way. Two words I would consider that you rethink using if you are using them as your identity are what I call the O words. So those are obese and overweight. And the reason I recommend people don't use them is because they're inherently stigmatizing. They are based on BMI calculations, which is just a ratio of height to weight. It's actually something that was created by someone who worked for an insurance company many, many decades ago. It was never intended to be used for individuals. It was more to look at populations. And we know from modern weight science and health at every size literature that you can't predict someone's health by looking at the size of their body. So BMI is a harmful tool, and therefore the words that come out of it, obese and overweight, like over what weight is what I was always taught to think, like over what weight, like why is my size any worse than anyone else's size? So rethink those ones, but there's this other plethora of terms that may feel good to you, and fat may be the one that works best for you, and if so, that's awesome, and if not, that's okay too. So hope this was helpful. If anyone has any questions, I'm so happy to answer them, and I'll talk to you another day. Thanks everyone. Bye.